Hi, welcome to the NAXSA podcast number 5. I'm glad that you can join us. What is NAXSA? What is NAXSA? NAXSA stands for the North American Excavation Shoring Association. The industry organization was created to promote the safe and efficient use of excavation shoring practices. NAXSA includes shoring manufacturers, engineers, and shoring rental companies. All these groups share the common goal of maintaining safety in the excavation shoring industry, hopefully resulting in 0 deaths and injuries due to trench cave-ins and other excavation safety issues. I'm delighted that we have a wonderful guest for this podcast. We're going to be talking with Perry Silvey, who is a co-founder for the Trenching and Excavation Safety Task Force, or T.E.S.T. However, you may follow him on social media under the common hashtag Think Inside the Box, which is an excellent and quick way to focus in on trench safety. We'll learn more about Think Inside the Box in a moment. Perry Silvey is a safety manager for BT Construction in Henderson, Colorado. A 2002 graduate of Fort Lewis College in Durango, Colorado, Perry began his career in civil construction as a laborer in 2003, advancing through roles in equipment operation, estimating, and project management. In 2012, he transitioned to the safety profession, focusing on helping people both within his organization and in the broader community of safety professionals and civil construction companies. Silvey earned his construction and health safety technician certification in 2017, and he has been actively involved and held leadership roles in both local and national trade organizations, including the National Utility Contractors Association, the Association of General Contractors, and the American Society of Safety Professionals. He also facilitates monthly safety roundtables for the Colorado chapter of NUCA and has presented innovative safety campaigns such as Champion for Change, Safety Campaign Success Strategy, and has facilitated discussions on critical safety topics across the industry. In 2019, Perry co-founded and continues to chair Trenching and Excavation Safety Task Force, a volunteer group dedicated to improving safety in the civil construction industry. Perry has delivered keynote presentations and participated in national events, including the NAXSA Trench Safety Summit and NUCA's Safety and Damage Prevention Conference. Here is our discussion with Perry Silvey. All right, I'm joined by Perry Silvey, and let's go back to maybe the beginning. You mentioned that part of the genesis of all your trench safety awareness efforts was because of a trench fatality in the Denver area in 2019 that happened, coincided with a safety professionals roundtable or something of that nature. What was the reaction? What was the discussion? I imagine there might have been some frustration in the sense that, this trench fatality could have easily been prevented.
Yeah, that was a really scary time there. We were really frustrated at first when we heard of this, and yeah, there was a group of us that met together, and we started talking about this particular incident. 2 people that got buried in a trench about 15 feet deep, and they had a trench box on site, but they chose not to use it. And that really is what frustrated us the most, is that there's a trench protective system out there, and these 2 individuals chose not to install it in the ground before they got down there. One of the guys, they were actually able to speak with him. The firefighters could talk to him for a couple hours, and they actually thought to get his wife out there, so they brought his wife out to the job site, and she was able to communicate through that pipe in the ground and a microphone. And really just to say goodbye because he was really down there far enough to where they could not get to him in time, and he ended up passing away along with the other individual out there. So a real bummer of a story, and found out later that she was actually pregnant with their son, and had that baby several months later. So really, really big bummer there, and one that we really just wanted to get together as a group and try to figure out how we could prevent that kind of thing from ever happening again. So in that big group of us, there might have been 60 safety professionals in that room. And I stood up in that room and I said, guys, we got to do something. I said, I don't know what, but we got to do something. We just can't see this type of thing happen again. So we started meeting right away, right after that meeting. This was actually a week after the event had occurred. So it was on a Tuesday. So I remember um, very vividly that day and talking about that with this group. So we started meeting right away. We started talking to try to brainstorm some things that we could do and try to figure out what kinds of things could we do in our position. We're safety professionals. We've got to be able to come up with some solutions here. So we actually had the area director in the room with us, area director of Inglewood in Colorado. And the OSHA area director was in there and he had an idea. He says, hey, here's this sticker that I've got, and it just has the words on it that say, think inside the box. So we thought, well, that's kind of a catchy little theme there. So we took that and we ran with it. And think inside the box is really a big part of our messaging that we're putting out to as many people as we can. Soon after that, we actually utilized a picture of a trench box and we added that to the words. And we put think inside the box inside the picture of the box. And we started printing pictures, printing stickers for hard hats and water bottles and anything that we could. And then we continued to meet on a monthly basis and really continue to talk about this and try to come up with some solutions. See if we could try to talk to as many people as we could and see if we can grow this. We actually came up with a website soon after that, thinkinsidethebox.info. And that's a great location to go to be able to get anything trench safety related. So that worked really well for a while. And then we started looking at social media, and we had a lot of different interactions with different folks on LinkedIn and Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and all the different social media platforms. And we now have all of them loaded up there with @ExcavateSafe. So if you search for @ExcavateSafe on any of those platforms, that would be where you'd find us. And it's our volunteer effort. This is a volunteer group. We're not making money on any of this. All we're doing is just trying to raise awareness, and all of us volunteers are working hard to try to get this message out to as many people as we can.
I know that me personally, but many of us in NAXSA, we follow, obviously, Think Inside the Box on our social media sites, and sort of come to rely on your diligent effort to keep track of what is going on, actually out there in the construction field, and keeping track if and when, and unfortunately there might be and are trench fatalities. That probably hits again every time a trench fatality comes across. Um, how do you kind of say, or let's turn this around and keep our efforts going on trench safety awareness?
Yeah, it's tough to hear of another one, right? And that's the really hard part about doing this, is it is a reminder and it brings up those same feelings that we had initially back in 2019. So part of what we do is we search for those. We do searches on those search platforms, and we look for those types of things with some keywords. The news platforms, they use the words trench collapse or dirt collapse. Um, they use these cave-in is another word, another, concept that the news businesses use to get this kind of information out to the masses. So we do a search for that stuff across the country and even around the world. And we see these every now and then come up. And you're right, we post these on our site, and it's just another reminder of, hey, we're not done yet. We have a lot of work to do to try to prevent these. So we need help, and we need help from companies like NAXSA and companies like all the different organizations part of NAXSA to really get this word across to as many people as we can to prevent this kind of thing from reoccurring. It's getting better, and we're seeing a decline in the number of fatalities, but it's still one fatality is too many. 2022 was a really rough year. There were 39 people that lost their lives in 2022. That's terrible. All those families, 39 families that had to mourn the loss of their family member. It's heartbreaking. And we want to continue to really drive this message to help them and those families so that they understand that, hey, we're here to try to drive this to as many people as we can. And really, we got to get this message to the people that are getting in those excavations. We want them to get into safe excavations. We want them to say, no, I'm not getting into this unsafe excavation. I want to make sure that I think inside the box. We want to really drive that message to every single person that gets into an excavation.
Um, I know that the Trenching and Excavation Task Force test is now supported by the Colorado chapter of NUCA. But it was a grassroots effort. As you said, it's a volunteer group. That work continues. Is this still very much a volunteer effort for you and everyone involved? Do you put a lot of time into this still?
It's still a volunteer effort. Yeah, there's still a group of us that meet every quarter, and we're again trying to drive this message to as many people as we can. And yeah, we do have the backing of the National Utility Contractors Association across the country, as well as locally in Colorado. So it's been a really good partnership to help really get in touch with the contractors that are really part of that NUCA group there. So really a real similar message that I'm thinking NAXSA would really be thinking as well. But the idea to really get this to as many contractors, as many of the organizations out there that are excavating, to really make sure that they understand the importance of excavating safely.
In some of these associations, AGC, and I know NAXA, has asked you to participate in trench safety summits. Um, so your effort is again, I think it's come to be relied on by a lot of these organizations that when they have their conferences and so forth, they're starting to think, hey, we need to have Perry Silvey there or those from the Think Inside the Box. How has that sort of been able to accelerate your message?
Yeah, there's a lot of those different organizations that we've been able to talk with. AGC is really where we started. That's the Associated General Contractors of Colorado is where we first met. That was that first group of safety professionals that we got to talk with. And then it started to branch out from there. And we started to talk with the Colorado Contractors Association, and then, of course, NUCA of Colorado. And so started at that local level and really started to get as much as we could in front of them. And we talked to the organizers of the different larger events that the local chapters were putting on to really try to get in front of a large group and really try to bring the message to them. And then it was probably 3 or 4 years ago, we started actually reaching out to more national organizations. So AGC of America, as well as the AGC Underground Infrastructure Division of AGC. So we started working with those guys. We started talking talking at the National Utility Contractors Association out of DC. We started chatting with 811, both locally and nationally. We started just really starting to get to more of the groups that were at a national level. American Society of Safety Professionals is another big one that we really started getting in touch with. I was able to speak at a couple different national conferences for ASSP, and hoping to speak again this year. Waiting to find out if I'll be able to, but again, bringing this message to the masses as much as we can to try to drive the think inside the box trench safety message.
What's the best way for contractors and organizations to get their hands on to get a supply of think inside the box hard hat stickers?
It's a great question. And the best way is to go to thinkinsidethebox.info and scroll all the way to the bottom of that website. And anybody and everybody can download that logo. So Think Inside the Box has a logo that is at the bottom of that page. Download that logo. You can print it just as is, or you can even add your own logo inside the box in a space there inside the box. Add your own logo, make it your own, and print out stickers for your own organization or for marketing to hand out to as many people as you want. We would love to see this sticker on as many hard hats as we can, water bottles, anything on the back of your pickup, right? Put that logo out there to show the importance of thinking inside the box. And that logo is very important. And it was built in a very specific way, designed in such a way that it could be utilized for anybody. It really is a special color. That color of it is a rust color, which is the color of all trench boxes eventually, right? All those steel boxes eventually turn rust.
Yes, they do.
We think that those can be on anybody's box, anybody's company page, because it's universal, and that universal message anybody can stand behind. So we'd love to see that on all of NAXSA's members, all of their boxes, and be great to see that across the country.
Terry, what do you think? Is there anything that I haven't asked you? Something you think you need to mention?
You know, this is such a great concept to be able to communicate to as many people that are part of this trench safety world that we're in. There's a lot of people that dig in the ground, and there's a lot of people that need to learn how to dig safely. So we are excited to be able to help them and help remind them to dig in a way that protects human life. And thinking inside the box, that's how we're going to do that. Using some sort of trench box, trench shield, or sloping out your excavation. But ultimately, it's important that we do it right. Think inside the box.
Terry, thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate it. It's a very important message. Hopefully, this podcast will continue to amplify that as well. Thank you for your time.
Cool. Thanks, James. Have a great day.